This is another Debate Talk for You radio public announcement. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
Does your new or existing business need a strong online presence? With close to 4 billion people using the internet every single day, it's imperative that your business product or service is easily found by those searching for what you offer. Welcome to My Hosting Plus, your #1 online service provider. Our team of highly talented web developers and graphic designers specialize in creating eye-catching, pixel-perfect websites and graphics that are highly successful in converting leads into ongoing customers. No need to go elsewhere for web hosting, domains, professional emails, and social marketing. My Hosting Plus offers a one-stop shop experience that our clients love and appreciate. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to myhostingplus.com today and let our team elevate your business to the next level.
Hey, shalom, mishpacha wahabarim. I want to say, kol tehelim, kol kabod, wahatiperet le-Yahweh, abi Eloheinu. And that is, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, my Father, our Elohim, our deity, our power. Welcome to another segment of the second quarter, here presented by Debate Talk for You. I am your host, Sister Shan-T, and I want to give out the contact information if you're calling in. 319-527-6239. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. Press 1 to talk. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and concerns about this jam-packed lesson today. Yahweh willing, we give it out, and it provokes people to seek, study, spend time with the Father, ask the Holy Spirit to bring them to a sound conclusion. Check all things, go behind us, right? Today's topic that we're going to be talking about is called Malach Yahweh. Malach Yahweh. Malach, it means the angel or messenger. And Yahweh, the Lord God of Israel, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. And this is especially one for people whom believe in Yeshua as Messiah. This is to bring you some insight so you can stand firm and confident in your faith. We got some great information to bring out tonight, Yahweh willing. We hope that you are edified, and as always, to Yahweh be the glory. I have a guest reader on tonight. If you're a devout listener of the Day Talk for You, you've definitely heard her voice before, and I have the opportunity, and I'm honored to have her on reading for me, and this is Sister Sheik. Sister Sheik, you can go ahead and introduce yourself formally.
Hello, it's Shika Tiba. I am a Messianic, and I host the page Myrtle Nation Hebrew Israelite Information Exchange, and I am honored to be here to read for Sister Shan-T.
Thank you once again, Sister Shika, for answering the call to be the reader. I really believe this is a nice concept that I have a sister reading for me tonight. And here with me, as usual, y'all know him, Brother B.A. Ben Abraham. Go ahead, my brother.
Yo, what's the word? Much love to all. All praises to the supreme force and Father known as Yahweh. And much love to his only anointed messenger known as Yeshua the Christ. Let's get it.
Yeah. The second quarter. Malach Yahweh, the angel or messenger of the Lord God of Israel. Before we dive right into this thing, before we deep dive down, Brother Sal, you have anything you want to say, any announcements for upcoming shows on Debate Talk for You?
That's right. Of course, we got some more shows for you. Make sure you tune in tomorrow and Friday. We have a doubleheader, 2 debates back-to-back, right here on Debate Talk for You Radio. You don't want to miss them. Make sure you keep it locked, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So check out the first debate tomorrow, again, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll give you the notifications on the name and the titles, I guess, later on. But you can continue.
All right. Once again, thank you all for those who are listening right now and to those who will be listening later. We hope this lesson edifies, encourages, uplifts, and provokes you to seek and study, be diligent in your walk, in your faith. I'm going to talk about why I named this lesson, this topic, Malach Yahweh, the presence, right? For those such as myself who believe in Yeshua as Messiah, right? We study Scripture carefully, closely. We understand that the Tanakh, or what's called the original covenant or the Old Testament, is not a verbatim book. There are things to spiritually comprehend from the text, such as concepts and principles, not directly written in the text, right, verbatim. So believers in Yeshua as Messiah sometimes get railroaded with comment after comment insinuating that Yeshua is not in the Old Testament because his name is not written verbatim in the text. What we see spiritually or grasped is the concept, or the context of the expressed image, right, being visible in the text of the OT, coming in the form of voice, cloud, pillar of fire, a messenger, a representation, a face, or a presence. All right? We believe this image or likeness always manifested in theophany or representation that look like a person to you and I's natural senses. Right? We see this image was never formally given a name verbatim, however, always had a title that introduced them when they came on the scene and interacted with our ancestors. This title is Malach Yahweh, the angel or messenger of Yahweh. So while reading and examining the text, especially in the Hebrew language, one can see that this title was always interchangeable with the word presence. Right? And doing further research to confirm what I ran across in the Old Testament, or OT, or Tanakh, when it came to these terms for this representation, or this messenger who came in the form of an image, I came across some ancient texts that corroborated and sustained my belief in Yeshua as Messiah being physically revealed or manifested in the flesh in the renewed covenant. And I'll call it RC for short, right? Now, there's this concept, dabar in the Hebrew, memra in the Aramaic, logos in the Greek, right? That's the word for word. So this word, or logos, or memra, or dabar, manifested into flesh, right? And so he was the Malach Yahweh, or the messenger of the face, or the presence in the OT, interacting with our ancestors the whole time. Right? So the word is the agent, the thing used to get a task done. Right? Sheik, could you get me Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4? I'm going to give an example of the word, the agent, right? So Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4.
Then the word of the Lord.
Hold on, Sheik.
Yeah,
you kind of cut out there. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
All right. Okay, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4, it says, "Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying."
Right. The word came saying. Word came speaking to the prophets, right? And we got one more example for this. See, get me Ezekiel.
And that is Ezekiel 18:1, and it reads, "The word of the Lord came unto me again, saying."
So these are just a couple of examples how the word comes speaking, right? This agent, right? So, we're going to talk about an image or a picture. When you, a person, stand in front of a mirror, what's in the mirror is an image of you. The actual, complete, total flesh being of you is on the opposite side of the mirror. However, the image on the mirror can't be produced without you standing in front of it. Now, if someone came and saw the actual, complete, total flesh being of you standing in front of the mirror, and then they saw the mirror, right? When they looked in the mirror, they would say the image on the mirror is you. Now, the image is not the total, complete flesh being you. It is just a portion or representation of the complete, total flesh being you that is on the opposite side of it, right? So the same can be said with a Kodak picture, right? Once you stand in front of a camera, it takes a copy of you and it creates a picture. And that picture of you is then a representation of you or an image of you. However, the actual, complete, total flesh being you is not that picture, right? The thing is, when people see that picture that was taken with a camera, people will say the picture or Kodak copy is you. That picture is a representation or image captured when your physical, total flesh being was in a place and your physical being was standing in front of the camera. So this is the way I came up with to best explain the image of Yeshua not being completely or totally the Father, Yahweh, but is only a copy, a portion, a visible, expressed image or likeness to represent Yahweh, right? So this is why Yeshua says in like John chapter 14 says, if you have seen me, you have seen the Father, because Yeshua is the image in the mirror. The total, complete being standing on the opposite side of the mirror would be Yahweh, right? So now we're going to talk about Yahweh, how we see this angel or messenger of Yahweh in some passages in the text. So, Genesis chapter 22, verses 11 to 15.
Just a minute, I'm sorry. Hold on. Exodus 3:2-6.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 22, verses 11 to 15.
Okay. And the angel of the Lord, I'm sorry, I'm speaker. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God. I'm sorry. My baby watches Elmo every night.
Right on. See, we did, Mother's Day and everything else while we got to, do the work as the most time. Right, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. And the angel of the Lord called upon him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon thy lad, neither do thou say, neither do thou say anything unto him, for now I know that thou hast feared God.
Keep reading all the way to verse 15.
Yes. And the angel of the Lord called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time. I apologize about that. You finally got it.
Okay. If you need BA to step in and read for a hot second, just let us know. You there, Sheik? All right, BA?
Yeah, what's up?
All right. While Sheik is handling business, real quick, can you get me, just to start from the top, Genesis chapter 22, verses 11 to 15.
All right, hold on for a quick second. Make sure I'm reading from the... Said 22?
Yep, Genesis chapter 22, verses 11 to 15.
Okay. 11 through 15. I'm reading from the Big Blue Book. And it reads, verse 11. And the angel of Yahweh called to him from the heavens and said, Abraham. And he said, Behold me. And he said, Do not lay your hands on the boy, nor do anything to him. For now I know that you are a God-fearer, and you have not withheld your son, your only one, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a ram behind him was entangled in a thicket by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah will see, so that it is said until this day, and the mount of Jehovah it will be seen. And the angel of Jehovah called to Abraham out of the heavens a second time.
All right. Thank you for reading that. So we see that the Malach Yahweh, pretty much it says, starting at verse 11, it says, Vayikra Elah Malach Yahweh min hashemayim vayomer Abraham vayomer hineni, right? So Vayikra Elah, and he called. Who called? The angel of Yahweh did, the Malach of Yahweh, the angel of the Lord. And he's speaking as though he is the angel. He's speaking as though he is Yahweh, right? But this is the messenger. All right. Let me read. Let me get you to read. If Sheik is not back yet, BA, if you could read Exodus chapter 3, verses 2 to 6.
You said I didn't hear. I heard the dog bark. You said 83. I'm sorry. You said chapter 3 or 33.
Exodus chapter 3, verses 2 to 6.
Okay.
I apologize about that.
No problem. Not a problem at all.
Yeah.
No, I got. It's all good. It's all good. Chapter 3. We're gonna pick it up at verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the angel of Jehovah appeared to him in a flame of fire from the middle of the thorn bush. And he looked, and behold, the thorn bush was burning with fire, and the thorn bush was not burned up. And Moses said, I will turn aside now and see this great sight, with the thorn bush is not burned up. And Jehovah saw that he turned aside to see, and God called to him from the midst of the thorn bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, I am here. And he said, do not come near here. Pull off your sandals from off your feet, for the place of which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he feared to look upon the Most High God.
Right on. So we see in verse 2, it says, Malach Yahweh again, the messenger of Yahweh appeared. But then in verse 4, it says Yahweh saw that Moshe turned aside. So this messenger of Yahweh is acting as though Yahweh himself. If the angel is there seeing Moshe do this, how is Yahweh then seeing that Moshe turned aside, right? And Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush, right? It's not like Yahweh. All right. Judges chapter 2, verses 1 to 4.
Oh, yeah.
You back, Zeke? For a hot second.
Yeah, Judges is most definitely a very, very interesting.
Right.
Plenty of examples in Judges.
Yeah.
So what I'll do, since she gets back, what I'll do, I'll mute and I'll let she'll go ahead and read. It's not a problem. So I'm here if you need me.
Okay. My apologies about that. You know, people couldn't figure out my technology, and I apologize about that. Okay.
No problem. So Judges chapter 2, verses 1 to 4.
Judges chapter 2, verses 1 to 4, and it reads, "And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim, and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you, and ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your side, and their God shall be a snare unto you. And it came to pass, when the angel of the Lord spake these words unto the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept."
Right. So in Judges chapter 2, verses 1 through 4, pretty much you have this messenger of Yahweh, Malach Yahweh, right, claiming to have been the one bringing the children up out of Egypt. Right? Now, we're going to tie this into a passage we're going to look at a little later. But this angel or messenger of Yahweh, right, is also seen in Numbers chapter 22, verses 22 to 24. And that lines up with Joshua chapter 5, verses 13 to 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Sheik to get Numbers chapter 22, verses 22 to 24. And then BA, if you could get Joshua chapter 5, verses 13 to 15.
Okay, I have Numbers chapter 22, verses 22 through 24. "And God's anger was kindled because he went. And the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his ass, and the two servants were with him. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand, turned aside out of the way, and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass, to turn her into the way. But the angel of the Lord stood in the path of the vineyard, a wall being on this side, and a wall on that side."
All right. And BA, do you have Joshua chapter 5, verses 13 to 15?
Yes. And it reads, verse 13. "And it happened, when Joshua was beside Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man stood opposite of him, and his drawn sword was in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, Are you for us, or for our foes? And he said, No, for I am now come as the commander of the army of Jehovah. And Joshua fell down on his face to the earth and worshipped. And he said to him, What does my Lord say to his bondslave?"
All right. So we have Numbers chapter 22 and Joshua chapter 5. And this angel of Yahweh, this messenger of Yahweh, has his sword drawn in Numbers, right? And the next place where this appears to be, right, is this man with this sword drawn, calling himself the captain of the host of Yahweh, right? And you see Joshua bow. So Joshua is bowing in absolute worship to the Most High Yahweh.
Right. It says, can I just read 15 real quick? I meant to read 15.
Mm-hmm.
"And the commander of the armies of Jehovah said to Joshua, Take off your shoes off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy. And Joshua did so, or set apart."
Right. So, The translation for captain, when we see captain of the host in verse 15 of Joshua chapter 5, that's the Hebrew word sar, H8269, right? So I'll read sar in the Brown Driver and Briggs and the Strongs. So pretty much it means prince, ruler. Hold on, sorry about that. It means prince, ruler, leader, chief, or chieftain, captain, right? So it's a general, a governor, a keeper, a master, a prince, right? So I'm going to introduce this term, Sar Hatanim. Sar Hatanim. Sar means, as I stated, prince, ruler, chief, captain. Hatanim, so with the Hebrew, the hey in front is the definite article, meaning the. Tanim, it literally translates to face. However, in the translations, you'll see presence, right? So this translates as prince of the face and sometimes prince of the present, right? Sar Hatanim. Now, Malak Panav, right? It literally translates as angel or messenger of the face, or angel or messenger of his presence. Malak Panav. Panav comes from Panav, which is face, the presence, right? Now, we know that no human being can come into the full, total, complete presence of Yahweh. So this meant that there was a need of a mediator, a being, an existence, standing in the gap, interacting between the people and Yahweh. So this mediator here that's been here the whole time, this is the angel or messenger of Yahweh, the Malak Panav, the angel of the face or the presence, right? So, Sheik, can you read Exodus chapter 33, verses 11 to 20?
And it reads, And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. And Moses said to the Lord, See, thou sayest unto me, Bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, shew me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, My presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, If thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For when in shall it should be known here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth? And the Lord said to Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, shew me that glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And he said, Thou canst see my face, for there no man shall see me and live.
All right. Now, I didn't have Sheik read this, but Exodus 33, verse 3, when the Most High said he was going to take the children of Israel to the land flowing with milk and honey, he said, I am not going up in your midst. I'm not going in your midst because you're stiff-necked people, right? Lest I consume you on the way. So if the Most High is not going, which pretty much Moshe is asking, like, look, Most High Yahweh, if you're not going, well, who's going to go? How are we going to be led into the promised land here, the land flowing with milk and honey? And in verse 14, right, the Most High says, And he said, my presence, and I shall give you rest. So pretty much Wayomer, Panai is face or presence, Yelehu. So when it's Panai, that means my face, my presence, Lehu shall go. Yelehu shall go, right? The presence is going to go. Right? All right, next, I'm going to have you read Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 to 23.
Okay. Absolutely. Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. And obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. For mine angel shall go before thee, and bring thee in unto the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off.
Right. this angel of Yahweh, this Malach Yahweh, says he's going to go before you. The messenger is going to go before you or in front of you, and you have to obey his voice because the name, the shame, the reputation, the authority is in the Malach Yahweh. Right? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Exodus 13, verse 21. Read that for me real quick. Exodus 13, verse 21.
And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, to go by day and night.
All right. I don't know if y'all caught that. Right. It says, and Yahweh went before them by day in a column of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a column of fire to give them light. However, previously, I just had Sheik read Exodus 23, verses 20 to 23, right? And it said over there that who was going before them? The Malach Yahweh. So the Malach Yahweh going in front of them is the same as Yahweh going in front of them. However, no person can directly be, no human being can be in the total, complete, absolute presence of the Most High and live. So therefore, there has to be this representation. So, Yahweh went before them, right? Yeah, sure. Go ahead, B.A. Come on in.
Most definitely like to just say real quick before you go any further. Notice what Sis just brought out. We have the pillar of a cloud of water during the day, and we have a pillar of fire at night. And then we have an appearance, and some examples we just read long ago, of a man. And we know this is a holy being. This is some type of set-apart being. And it appeared to be a man. Doesn't necessarily mean it was a literal human being. These are spirits manifesting into our reality so we can see them. But the point what I'd like to say is we see that the Most High is revealing himself to the eye of the human being through the natural resources, water, fire, appearing as human beings to the eye of the actual humans who see. These are things, and the Most High say, I do not change. So we most definitely have to remember that this presence or this messenger or this face who is in the presence of the Most High is coming. It's coming in things that human beings, we people, are familiar with. And that's all I just wanted to point out.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you saying that, Ben. Yeah. We got to reiterate that throughout this whole lesson, through this whole time. So, like, Yahweh goes before them. However, we can't come into the total, complete, absolute presence of the Most High. So this presence or this visible expression or the manifestation of Yahweh, like, comes in front of, and that's known as the image, right? And there's a few places in the New Testament that talks about this image, right? Colossians 1:15 means like the likeness or figure, representation, resemblance. And this lines up with Philippians chapter 2. The Messiah came in a form or image on earth to represent Yahweh that we can perceive with our natural senses and to be equal with Yahweh. That's what VA just explained. We have to understand things in our natural senses, right? And then also in Hebrews chapter 1, it says that Messiah is the express image, right? Genesis chapter 48, verse 16.
And it reads, and the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud. Wait, I'm sorry, is that the right word? Exodus 13:21?
Genesis 48, verse 16.
Genesis 48, I'm sorry, I was up one.
Mm-hmm.
And the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lad, and let my name be named on them. And the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
It says, the messenger who redeemed me from all evil. You catch that shit? You catch that VA?
Mm-hmm.
The angel, this representation, this Malach is redeeming. And Joseph said this. This is part of the blessing that Joseph rendered to the sons. Right? Mm-hmm. All right. No, this is not Joseph's blessing. It was Jacob or Israel blessing the sons, right? So we're going to talk about this angel or messenger who has this power to redeem. But we're gonna elaborate on that a little later. So keep that in mind. This messenger who has redeemed me from all evil. All right, so now y'all know me. Because this is the second quarter. This is like a collegiate type of thing. I'm going to bring out some secular historical information. Before I go there, right, I'm going to be bringing out some information from the Talmud and the Zohar. Now, this is a disclaimer. I do not adhere to the instructions or teachings of the Talmud, which is the oral law, Mishnah, and I do not adhere to the teachings or instructions of the Zohar or Kabbalah. I look at them for historical references. I need to go back into some of our ancestors' mind frame and see their perception and see their thoughts and their take on different things. These things, a lot of the times, are their recorded conversation, right? And we know the oral law, the Talmud, yes, is pretty much started around like 450 BC and then pretty much got written in the Talmud and Mishnah starting in 200 AD, right? We know that. However, we have to look at these things for historical purposes in order definitely to understand what our people dealt with, especially what Yeshua dealt with. You have to see the mindset or the mind frame of the people in that time. And so we have these various resources to go back to and look at and reference, right? Now, the reason why I'm going into the oral law, the Talmud, and the Zohar is that these writings here, before anything of Christianity was known about, and when I say Christianity, I mean like 3rd, 4th century AD Christianity, right? And I know that 1st century AD Christians were those Israelites who believed in Yeshua as Messiah, right? I know there's a difference between 1st century AD Christians and 3rd or 4th century AD Christians, right? So what I'm putting out is that this information from these Jewish sources, so to speak, have been here. They've been existing here, and the mindset and the mind frame is very ancient, and it's very critical and crucial that we go back and look at these recordings of their conversation, their mindset, and how they wrestled with Scripture, how they tried to reconcile and interpret certain scriptures, certain passages, right? So, with that being said, that's my little disclaimer. There is a known prayer. Pay attention here. There is a known prayer, and it's said after the sounding of the shofar, right? So this prayer is after the sounding of the shofar from Kabbalists, right, dating around the 12th century A.D., and this prayer is said during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. right? Now, Rosh Hashanah represents like the Day of Judgment, like the 10 days of awe, counting up to Yom Kippur, when you're asking for forgiveness for them, right? And so this prayer has in it the phrase Yeshua Sar Hatanim. Now, for anyone who wants any of my resources, I have them on deck. I have pictures of everything. I have books of The Return of the Kosher Pig. I have the actual physical Zohar in my possession. The Talmud or the Oral Law, you can go to halakha.com. And I'm also going to give some references to some websites you can go and look at, right? All right, so we're going to look at this prayer. This prayer has the phrase Yeshua Sar Hatanim. So remember I said Sar Hatanim. Sar means prince. Hatanim means the face or the presence. They're calling Yeshua the prince of the presence in this prayer. So this idea of the presence being the mediator has been there for a minute, before the 1st century A.D., right? And it's called by name in this prayer. And this has been researched by a guy named Professor Dr. Yehuda Leibs, a professor at Hebrew University, and he's a student of a guy named Gershom Scholem. He's one of the known Kabbalah investigators of the 20th century, right? So I'm going to give y'all a little piece of this prayer. Now, before I give y'all a little piece of this prayer, there's a website you can actually go to and download the PDFs from, right? It's called www.13, the number 13, petals, petals.org, right? So the long version of this prayer says, may it be your will that the Tekiah, Shebarim, Teruah, Tekiah, and Tashrat for short for acronym, right? These are the shofar blasts, you guys, okay? So it says, may it be your will that the Tekiah, Shebarim, Teruah, Tekiah blast that we have made sound be embroidered in the heavenly curtain by the appointed angel Tartiel, right? Tartiel is one of the angels in Enoch, the supervisor of the curtain, right? So it says, may it be your will that the blast that we have made sound be embroidered in the heavenly curtain by the appointed angel Tartiel, like the name that was received by the hand of the prophet Eliyahu of blessed memory, and Yeshua, Sar Hatanim, and the prince Memtet. Memtet is acronym Metatron, Metatron, also known as Enoch. Now, this Metatron, also known as Enoch, also known as this Messiah, Yeshua, right? So the prayer continues. It says, and may you be filled with mercy for us. Blessed are you, master of mercies. So, I don't know. I've read this prayer a few times. I've started over a few times. But this prayer is asking the mediator to bring our voice of repentance. Why? Because we're trying to receive atonement. So this prayer is equating this angel or messenger to be Yeshua, who was also the high priest, divine in nature, right? Divine in nature, with the utmost authority of Yahweh, if he is to be the one able to enter in the full, complete, total being of Yahweh. Again, no human being can come into the full, total presence of Yahweh. So this entity has to be divine in nature. Has to be divine in nature. Let's give an example. Read, sheet for me, Isaiah chapter 6, verses 2 and 3.
Just a moment.
Yep. You there, Sheik?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm fine. My phone is in and out. And you said Isaiah chapter 6, 2 and 3, 2 through 3?
Yep.
Above it stood the seraphim. Each one has 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory.
All right. So that's an example, the passage in Isaiah chapter 6, verses 2 to 3, that the Most High Yahweh is a heavenly being, divine. So if some being is going to go into the full, complete, total presence, then that being has to be divine as well, right? Because Sheik read before, Exodus 33, verse 20. It says, no one can see the face of the Most High Yahweh and live. You can't see the full, complete, total flesh being face, but you can see the image in the mirror face, right? You can see the image in the mirror face and live, right? So before I go on, I just want to give, again, the telephone number to call in. If you're listening, you can press 1 to talk. We can take questions, comments, concerns throughout. So that number is 319-527-6239. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. Make sure you press the 1 to talk. All right? All right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about why or the reason that Yeshua, Sar Hapanim, Yeshua, the Prince of the Face or the Prince of the Presence, is in this prayer book, or Machzor as it's called, because it was known to the peoples who wrote what's called the Sefer HaCheshek. That means the scroll of desire. Right? Sefer is scroll, and Heshek is desire, right? So Sefer HaCheshek. All right, so Yeshua Sar Hapanim is in this prayer book because it was known to the people who wrote this book, and they called it the Ayin Shemot Shel Memtet. Remember, Memtet is Metatron, right? And Ayin Shemot Shel Memtet means the 70 names of Metatron, and it corresponds with the 70 names of Elohim. And so this book, Sefer HaCheshek, it says that Metatron takes center stage. Now, we're going to talk about this Metatron a little bit later, right? I said the Metatron is also known as Enoch, also known as Messiah, also known as the Lad, also known as the Son, S-O-N, right? The prayer that names Yeshua Sar Hapanim, or Yeshua, the Prince of the Present, has been accused. Pay attention to this part. All believers in Yeshua the Messiah, right? So this prayer that names Yeshua Sar Hapanim, the Prince of the Presence, has been accused of being tampered with by Christians. However, this accusation does not stand because medieval Christians did not consider Yeshua to be an angel or Sar Hapanim, but thought of him as God incarnate. So, Christians simply did not pray from this book. A few prayer books today, as we speak, 2019, Art Scroll, A-R-T-S-C-R-O-L-L, Art Scroll, still has the name of Yeshua there in this prayer. And others, few others have deleted. Now, the website I gave you, www.13petals.org, it talks about this prayer. However, there are PDFs available where you can actually see with your own eyes that Yeshua's name, Yod-Shin-Y-I-N, is in this prayer. So you can go to the website. It's ladderofjacob.com. LADDEROSJACOB.com. Right? You can go there and look at the PDFs yourself of this prayer book. Right? So I've heard the accusations before. Oh, Christians tampered with the prayer, but Christians don't know about this prayer book. And Christians, 1st century AD Christians and 3rd, 4th century AD Christians, they don't read from a prayer book. They don't read from a Siddur or a Machzor, right? So now I'm going to get into this other subject. I got to touch on this. In the Talmud, the oral law, right? The sages wrote about what's called the conditional coming of Messiah, right?
So pretty much they, since they saw this Messiah doing two different tasks, they wrestled or tried to reconcile what the interpretation meant, and they came up with, since the Messiah is going to do two tasks, that there's going to be two Messiahs. However, there's actually just one Messiah who's going to do two tasks. So let me continue. So, in Sanhedrin 98a, they attribute Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 to 14, to Messiah coming in the clouds if we're worthy, or coming lowly riding on a donkey, right, from Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9, if the people, Israel, were not worthy. And so this Messiah is known as Messiah ben David, right? Now I'm going to have Sheik read. Zechariah chapter 14, verses 2 to 4.
Okay, and it reads, "For I will gather all nations." Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. "For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in the day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall be moved toward the north, and half of it toward the south."
So this Messiah, the sages said that was Messiah ben David, right? That will wage war against the nation, right? Now, I'm going to have Sheik read Zechariah chapter 12, verses 10 to 12.
Okay. Just a moment, because I don't have 11. Just a moment. Okay, let me go 10. "I will pour upon the house of David. I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplantation, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his holy son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn."
Mm-hmm.
I don't have 11, so can I go to 12? I'm sorry.
No,
Do you have 11?
I'll read verse 11 for you.
Okay.
I'll read verse 11 and 12. Or BA. BA, you still there?
Yeah, most def.
All right. Are you at Zechariah chapter 12?
I'm turning there right now.
All right.
Zechariah chapter 12.
Yeah, you can
verse
finish
11?
it out. Yeah, read verse 11. Just go ahead and read verse 11 and 12.
All right, and it reads 11 and 12. And hold on for us. Okay. And that day, the mourning in Jerusalem shall be great, like the mourning of Hadad Re'im in the valley of Megiddo. And the land shall mourn, each family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart.
Mm-hmm. Now, in Sukkah, we're still talking about this oral law, this Talmud, right? In Sukkah 52a, Sukkah 52a, it says, "The land shall mourn, every family apart, family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart." Right? That was Zechariah chapter 12, verse 12. And it goes on to say, in this Talmud here, section Sukkah 52a, it says, "What is the cause of the mourning?" in the verse. And one rabbi explained, the cause is the slaying of Messiah, the son of Joseph.
Let me say that again. In section Sukkah 52:8, it goes on to say, Zechariah 12:12, what's the cause of the mourning? And one rabbi explained, the cause is the slaying of Messiah, the son of Joseph. This is called the precursor to Messiah ben David. Right? And then continuing in the Talmud, section Sukkah 52:8, it says, it is well according to him who explains that the cause is the slaying of Messiah, the son of Joseph, since that well agrees with the scriptural verse, and they shall look upon me because they have thrust him through, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son. Right? That was Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10. And the famous Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo, in his commentary, says the same thing. Now, I'll put emphasis on that. These are the early rabbi decisions in their oral law, in their Talmud, saying that Messiah has to come and suffer first, be slain first, before he was to come back and be this conquering king. Right? Now, these are references for you to go back and look at, right? Before I continue, Sheik or BA, you have anything to elaborate on before I move further?
I would just like to say that I'm glad you gave that disclaimer about coming going into the oral law.
Okay, go ahead. We hear you again now. You hear me now?
I'm sorry, I'm on speaker and then I come in. Okay. I'm glad that you went into the disclaimer about going into the oral law. A lot of people are afraid, to go into that because they feel that it's been corrupted or it was during a time where we weren't there and all these other things. However, whether you feel that it was something that was stolen or whatever, the mind frame of the people is still being passed on or adopted. I will say that. There has to be some system of preservation, for what was going on. And keep in mind, this is before white supremacy. This is before, your skin complexion gave you a status.
Right.
So we have to understand that, and we have to look at it and understand the perception of that day, at least of that day, And so the oral tradition does tell us about it's the two Messiah system of Ben Yosef, and it was believed that he was going to come from the tribe of Yosef, but we see in the New Testament narrative that, and Brother Zion likes to bring this out, that it's like he's the actual son of somebody named Joseph, And then same thing with Messiah ben David. It's supposed to be somebody coming from that particular tribe of Judah, which he was from. So, but the thinking and the mind frame is there, and so then you realize that the New Testament is not coming from air. It was not something created at the Council of Nicaea. It is actually coming from the belief system prior to, or what was understood at that particular time. And so we need to look into that. And, yes, we do need to learn the language. And, yes, we need to understand what is going on. And when you do that, the Talmud also confesses, you use it to say that they dropped Jews in Africa. But it also says that they admit to killing Yahusha. They admit to killing him in there as well.
Let me say where that's at. In the Talmud. That's in section Sanhedrin 43a. That's where that is. I know that off top. Go ahead.
Right. So just saying that, we know historically he has been proven in ways, as far as the belief in him and people establishing that he existed, there's more information for James the Just, but James the Just testifies of him. So it's like, Okay, he was there, and so I'm going to admit, because I just don't want to come back up, but I am with Brother Larry, who brings up that Yahusha is and so, but I love what you brought up, because I always bring up 1 Timothy 3:16. It says was manifested in the flesh. It's the same spirit that gives us our gifts. It's the same spirit that lets us know the truth that's operating in our life, and that goes back to John 1 when he says, "And that light was the life of men." That's how you know it's true. Right. That's how your spirit responds. That's how your spirit talks. Right. And you don't even know what you said, and you're ministering to yourself. It's the same spirit that he had upon him, and we see that at his baptism, So,
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so
I got into it. See, that right there.
No, you did.
It was a demonstration.
This is good. See, when people talk about, the Messiah ain't supposed to come and suffer. He ain't supposed to go through no pain. He ain't supposed to go through no turmoil. Our ancestors didn't believe in that. That's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's a lie.
Absolutely.
Straight from them, straight from their pen. Like you said.
But I say that when you tell people that, and then you say that's a lie, the first thing they're going to do, they're going to get defensive. So it's just better to point them to the resources and, say, hey, just look this up and tell me what you think about it.
Exactly.
Right.
Look it up. I gave all the references to look it up. Now, when I'm going to bring up in a little bit, like the Zohar, I have the physical Zohar here. If you want pictures, copies, whatever, let me know and I'll give them to you, because the Zohar is pretty much not easy to find online, right? So, let's see here. Now, we're going to get into some juicy stuff right here. Get some real meaty areas here. Do we see Sar happening in the rest of the scriptures? Yes. Remember when I said Genesis 48, when it says the messenger who redeemed me, right? When Jacob was passing the blessing on, when Israel was passing the blessing on to the sons, right? Let's say we're going to tie that into this passage. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 63, verses 7 to 10. I'm going to have Sheik read it, but then I'm also going to read some Hebrew of it, right? Okay, so Isaiah chapter 63, verses 7 to 10. And remind y'all, if you want to press the one to talk, call in 319-527-6239. Once again, 319-527-6239. Sheik, when you have it, you can go ahead and read it.
Okay. And it reads, I will mention the loving kindness of the Lord and the praises of the Lord, according to all that the Lord has bestowed on us, and the great goodness toward the house of Israel, which he has bestowed on them according to his mercies, and according to the multitude of his loving kindness. For he said, surely they are my people, children that will not lie. So he was their Savior. In all their affliction he was afflicted, and the angel of his presence saved them. In his love and in his pity he redeemed them. He bare them and carried them all the days of old. They rebelled and vexed his Holy Spirit. Therefore he was turned to be their enemy, and he fought against them.
All right. So, it says, I'm reading from the scriptures I saw. It says, let me recount the kindness, the loving commitment of Yahweh, and the praises of Yahweh, and all that Yahweh has done for us. And then verse 8 says, they are my people, children who do not act falsely. And he became their Savior. So, Yahweh is becoming the Savior, right? But watch this. Verse 9. In all their distress, he was distressed. It says, and the messenger of his presence saved them. So, Bekol Zaratam. Bekol, and all Zaratam, their affliction, Zar, he was afflicted, right? It says, Malak, and the angel, Panas, and the angel of his presence, Hoshiam, saved them. right? Hoshi'am. Now, how is the messenger of the presence or the angel of the Lord saving them? How is the angel of the presence or the angel of the Lord redeeming them? Well, it says here, right? That's what it says. Umalak Panav. Remember when I said Umalak Panav? Malak, the angel, Panav, of his face, of his presence. Right? All right. Sheik, let me get you to read one more passage, a couple more passages. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 35 to 37. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 35 to 37.
Okay, and it reads, Unto thee was showed that thou mightest know that the Lord, he is God. There is none else beside him. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. And upon earth he showed thee his great fire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt.
All right. So I just want to say the word, when it says there is none besides, it's the besides is not next to the side. It means more so comparable to, right? However, we see in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 35 to 37, let's see here. Verse 35 to 7, there's no Elohim comparable to him, right? In verse 37, because he loved your fathers, he chose their seed after them, and brought you out with his presence, with his great power, right? So the Most High is using this agent, this Malak Yahweh, this Malak Panav, right, to bring you up. Because, again, like Exodus 33, verse 20 said, no one can come into the full, total, complete flesh being of Yahweh and live. So there has to be a mediator, that representation that stands in the gap between human and the Most High Yahweh, who is Spirit. Right now, let's make some connections here. Talked about in this prayer, in this Machzor, that names Yeshua as Sar Hapanim. It names Yeshua as the Prince of the Presence, right? It's going to talk about how Eliyahu, Yeshua, Sar Hapanim, and Sar, or the Prince, Metatron, also known as Enoch, different titles for the same representation, right? So in Sefer HaYovel, pretty much the scroll of Jubilee, Metatron, in the Jewish literature, right, like 3rd Enoch, chapters 1 through 20. I'm not going to read it, but it calls Metatron Yeshua Sar Hapanim, who will redeem Israel, save and carry Yahweh people. Right? Now, the reason why I'm saying these pieces of literature is because, again, reiterating the mindset of our ancestors. Even though they disagreed after, 2nd century A.D. when more people, especially the Gentiles, start believing in Yeshua as Messiah, they start saying all the stuff that they penned earlier before is a heresy, right? But they have these things in their books. You can actually look at them. That's what I'm going into, right? So in the Hekkelot literature, Hekkelot means palaces, like relating to visions of ascent, right, into heaven. So in the Hekkelot literature, they're developed from the visions of Ezekiel and Isaiah and Daniel. So this Metatron is known as a little or lesser Yahweh, like from the 3rd Enoch, chapter 10. And you can go look at it, right? It says, and the herald went forth into every heaven, saying, this is Metatron, my servant. I have made him into a prince and a ruler over all the princes of my kingdom and over all the presents, and you shall speak to him now instead of me. Right? So this Metatron, this little lesser Yahweh as they call him, right? So there's another Kabbalistic book that gives some commentary on the issue of redemption. It's called Kol HaTor. It's pretty much Song of Solomon, like the Voice of the Eternal does. Pretty much the Song of Songs, right? Song of Solomon. It says Mashiach ben Yosef, or Joseph, from above is Metatron, Prince of the Presence, as is known. Yosef, Metatron. Yosef is Metatron, and they are from the light above. And so Metatron is likened to Yeshua being enthroned, as we see in passages from Revelation chapter 3, verse 21, chapter 7, verse 17, and chapter 22, verse 1 and 3. And then also Enoch, right? And also Enoch. And it seems that Enoch's knowledge of the secrets of the universe in 3rd Enoch, chapter 11, are comparable to the knowledge of Messiah, who gave the revelation to John. And in a reference in the Targum, the Aramaic writing Targum, Yerushalmi, that there's a comment for Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. I'm going to have Sheik, can you read Genesis chapter 5, verse 24 real quick, and then I'm going to read something. I'm going to read something after that.
Yeah, I'm just showing it. Genesis 5, verse 24.
Genesis 5, verse 24.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
And it reads, and Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him.
Why is Enoch being called Metatron? Why is Metatron being called Enoch? Right? Now, I'm not saying these things are true. I'm just saying these things are pinned, some time ago. And it gives a reference, or it gives a recording of the mindset and thought. Right? So we know Enoch, he says, pretty much he was translated. Yahweh took him and he was no more. Well, we have this book of Enoch that says he went in the full, complete, total being presence of the Most High Yahweh and the angels, or the messengers, right? So I'm going to read something from Jubilees. This is a section in Jubilees called The Patriarchs from Adam to Noah, Life of Enoch, Death of Adam and Cain. I'm going to read verses 13 to 26. And pay attention. This is why Metatron is known as Enoch. Enoch is known as Metatron. Right? When we say Metatron was also known as Sarhapanim, or the Prince of the Presence, who was also known as the Prince of the Presence, the Messiah. It says, and in the 7th Jubilee in the 3rd week, Enosh took Noam, his sister, to be his wife, and she bare him a son in the 3rd year of the week of the 5th week. And he called his name Canaan. And at the close of the 8th Jubilee, Canaan took Mualaleth, his sister, to be his wife, and she bare him a son in the 9th Jubilee, in the 1st week, in the 3rd year of this week. And he called his name Mahalalel. And in the 2nd week of the 10th Jubilee, Mahalalel took unto him to wife Dinah, the daughter of Barachiel, the daughter of his father's brother, and she bare him a son in the 3rd week in the 6th year, and he called his name Jared. Now watch this. Jared, he called his name Jared, or Yahed, for in his days the angels of the Lord descended on the earth, because that's what Yahed means, to descend. Right? And the ones who descended on the earth, those who are named the Watchers, that they should instruct the children of men, and that they should do judgment and uprightness on the earth. That's what they're supposed to do. And in the 11th Jubilee, Jared, or Yared, took to himself a wife, and her name was Baraka, the daughter of Rasuhal, a daughter of his father's brother, in the 4th week of this Jubilee, and she bare him a son in the 5th week, in the 4th year of the Jubilee, and he called his name Enoch. Right? Enoch. He was the first among men that are born on earth who learn writing and knowledge and wisdom and who wrote down the signs of heaven according to the order of their months in a book, that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their separate months. And he was the first to write a testimony. And he testified to the sons of men among the generations of the earth, and recounted the weeks of the Jubilees, and made known to them the days of the years, and set in order the months, and recounted the Sabbaths of the years as we made them known to him. As we made them known to him, right? And this is all these angels, right? He in a total, complete presence. As I said, Isaiah chapter 6, in Exodus 33, you can't go into the full, total, complete presence of the Most High without being divine, right? And what was and what will be, he saw in a vision of his sleep, as it will happen to the children of men throughout their generations until the day of judgment. He saw and understood everything, and wrote his testimony, and placed the testimony on earth for all the children of men and for their generations. And in the 12th Jubilee, in the 7th week thereof, he took to himself a wife. Her name was Edni, the daughter of Danel, the daughter of his father's brother. And in the 6th year, in this week, she bare him a son, and he called his name Methuselah. And he was moreover, and now they're continuing with Enoch pretty much. They're saying, and he was moreover with the angels of God these 6 jubilees of years, and they showed him everything which is on earth and in the heavens, the rule of the sun, and he wrote down everything. And he testified to the watchers who had sinned with the daughters of men, for these have begun to unite themselves so as to be defiled with the daughters of men. And Enoch testified against them. How can you testify against somebody if you ain't got no reputation or authority, right? Testify against them all. And he was taken from amongst the children of men, and we conducted him into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor. We conducted, pretty much translated him in majesty and honor. And behold, there he writeth down the condemnation and judgment of the world. Dang, you got some nice authority if you write down the condemnation and judgment of the world, right? And all the wickedness of the children of men. And on account of it, God brought the waters of the flood upon all the land of Eden, for there he was set as a sign, and that he should testify against all the children of men, that he should recount all the deeds of the generations until the day of condemnation. This is why I say Enoch is Metatron, Metatron is Enoch, Metatron is Sar-Hapanim, Yeshua is Sar-Hapanim, right? You got to go, if you're able to go into the complete, total presence of the Most High, you got to be divine, right? Guess what else Enoch did? Watch this. I don't know if you can catch this. And he burnt the incense of the sanctuary, even sweet spices acceptable before the Lord on the mount. How are you going to burn incense if you're not no high priest? Right? That's enough. Right? Yeah. Okay. For the Lord hath 4 places on the earth, the Garden of Eden, and the Mount of the East, and this mountain on which thou art this day, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion, which will be sanctified in the new creation for a sanctification of the earth. Through it will the earth be sanctified from all its guilt and its uncleanness throughout the generations of the world. Right?
Okay, I have a question. I'm sorry. I have a question.
Yeah.
So make it plain. Make it plain. Yeah. Make it plain. Are you saying that Enoch is? Are you saying that he is Christ, or are you saying that he's a human manifestation of the Most High, just like Christ was? What specifically are you saying?
That is absolutely what the ancestors wrote down here. That's what I'm reading. That's exactly what it says. Plenty of books, Jewish literature, all of them through there, that they're saying this. Mm-hmm.
Wait, which one is it saying?
Yeah.
Which one is saying? Is it saying that he is Christ, or is is the or he's the human manifestation of the Most High. Any manifestation of the Most High is Christ, or any manifestation is Christ. Any image is the present.
Correct. Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
Right? Yeah.
That's how I felt too. And I would always ask, like, you believe that he can manifest as a burning bush, but not a man? Like, that didn't seem, I don't understand that. A cloud by day, fire by night, but not man? You know, it just.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
This lesson is, like, it's pretty, like, enlightening, isn't it? It's like, it gets you to re-examine and rethink, like, how you know, the initial, you know, rabbis and scribes, even though they claim all day that they didn't come up with the stuff, they did, and it's right here, and you know, like at our fingertips. Yeah. So
okay.
And then the 14th
sorry, I just had a question.
No problem. This is verse 27. And in the 14th Jubilee, Methuselah took unto himself a wife, Edna, the daughter of Azriel, the daughter of his father's brother, in the 3rd week, in the 1st year of this week, and he begat a son, and called his name Lamech. Let me see if I want to continue reading, because I probably don't need to. Yeah, we can stop right there. So pretty much they're equating Enoch to Metatron, to being Sar happening, the Prince of the Presence, to being to equating it to being Yeshua. Right? So we're going to talk about the Zohar. The Zohar, in the Zohar, Zohar means splendor, right? And it's the pretty much the recorded understanding, the mystical soul level stuff of Kabbalah, right? So the Zohar, it calls Enoch the son of Jared, right? The youth or the lad, in which is tied into being the son, S-O-N, which Metatron is also called, the youth or the lad, right? So the same passage refers to Israel in Hosea chapter 11, verse 1, being the youth, also known to be Metatron, right? This is in the Zohar. If anybody wants pictures, references, I will give them to you. My email, duckanddodge1@gmail.com, DUCCNDODGE1@gmail.com, right? And so there's a section called 4th chapter, section 69 says, it says, and Enoch walked with the Elohim, the reference, Genesis 5:24, and Hanok, which means train, right? Train up a child in the way he should go, from Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. They took it to mean that this is the angel Metatron, right? So they say Enoch became a child, Metatron, becoming an angel of Elohim, becoming a messenger of Elohim, becoming a Malach Yahweh, right? See? More from the Zohar, right? The Zohar, another reference in Zohar says that Metatron is perfected and given his master's name, Yahweh. He's also called the great prince and king. This is the Zohar, y'all. This is the Kabbalah. 1st century A.D. This was discovered 12th century A.D., but this is 1st century A.D., 2nd century A.D. These are not, this text, this volume is not penned by any person that's known as a Christian, right? So Zohar also says that in Isaiah chapter 52, verse 13, the Zohar says, behold, my servant shall prosper, means the servant Metatron will know how to return each soul to its own place. Remember I said the Metatron is Enoch, is Sar Hapanim, is Yeshua, right? Another reference from the Zohar says Metatron is the redeeming angel that we read in Genesis 48:16 and Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 along with Exodus chapter 33, verse 2. Right? Another reference from the Zohar. It says that Metatron has Shaddai in him, El Shaddai, another name for Yahweh, the Most High. Right? Yahweh is mighty, El Shaddai. Another reference in the Zohar that says Metatron was in the cloud Yahweh descended in. All right? I'm going to have you get Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1. Sheik. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1. Mm-hmm.
And it reads, and he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him.
Okay. So Metatron, the Zohar says Metatron was this angel Yehoshua, stood in front of in Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1. All right? In the Zohar, still, Metatron is called a commoner and a servant whose way is to ride on a donkey, which is why it says of Messiah when Israel will have no merit, humble and riding upon a donkey, he will come. Right? Zechariah chapter 9, verse 9. Right? Let's continue. I'm not going to read that reference. More references from the Zohar here. It says the lad or the youth is also known as Messiah and will be resurrected. Right? Rabbi Moshe Alshek has a commentary on the Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 11 to 12. It says that the flowers appearing on earth are two Messiahs, one being son of Joseph, the other the son of David, quoting the Midrash Elijah, when it says the lad who I resurrected, Messiah ben Ephraim, which is Joseph, is he. Right? Y'all might have to go back over this lesson again with all these references I'm giving, but it's here. Perkei de Rabbi Eliezer, chapter 10, the sayings of the rabbis, right? Chapter 10, it says Messiah ben Joseph comes first, then David. And that Jonah said to the whale Leviathan, I'll divide you among the righteous. He, being Messiah ben Joseph, as Jonah, is the lad who Elijah resurrected, and he is the Messiah, son of Ephraim. All right? Now, I'm going to read one more reference here. Let's go to Psalms chapter 2, verses 1 to 12.
Okay, and it reads, why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands.
Go ahead.
Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, and the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet I have set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord has unto me. Thou art my son. This day I have begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them, and be wise now, therefore, O ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear, and rejoicing with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are they that put their trust in him. Hallelujah.
Right. So Psalms chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. I had Sheik read all of that. Now, we're going to look at verse 2.
I'm back, sis. I just came back.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, B. Go ahead.
No, I was just letting you know I had just came back, and that's all, because I had to step away for a moment. But I'm back.
All right. Anything you want to say before I continue?
Just from what I've heard prior to me interjecting, as you can see, brothers and sisters in the audience who are listening, is that this idea of the presence of the Most High being someone divine, this is something that has always been taught throughout the traditions of Israel. This is something that the elders and the scribes and the sages and the rabbis, they always have understood this. So this is nothing new. Rather you agree that Enoch is Metatron or not, the point is that somebody holy and divine was always known as the face and the presence and the representation of the Almighty, Most High, Eternal King, known as the Father. And those are just things I just want to. So there's something to point out, and I believe that we're not saying here that, and correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to Enoch, we're not saying that Christ is Enoch. We're just giving you examples throughout the history of the writers of these commentaries that are most definitely that are valid in Israelite history. That the way they thought, what was commonly taught among them, that they've always understood. That they have never dealt with the full force, that they've always dealt with a manifestation or a representation or a piece of the force, not the full force. This has always been known. So these things and these theories about the New Testament is based on what the sages have written. I disagree with that because we understand that the one we understand to believe Christ, to who we understand Christ is, we understand that he was prophesied to come. So this thing about the New Testament being the idea that the sages and the rabbis created and came up with, I totally disagree. But I do understand that they had an understanding of who they were dealing with. I do agree with that.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, She. Go ahead, She.
I just wanted to add, like when people come from my particular position, people say, well, that can't be God because God is not, or God Almighty is not limited by time and space and stuff like that. Absolutely. And that's why we have the concept of sonship. The Father is not limited by time, by a body. He doesn't thirst. He doesn't eat. He doesn't die. He doesn't think, but he has to manifest in some way in order to do the things he said he was going to do. He said he was going to pour out his blood. He said, a body thou hast prepared for me. So if he's wearing garments, how is he doing that if he's just a spirit? So there has to be some type of manifestation occurring, and I think that what you have proven tonight is that they understood that, and even to be man.
Yeah, absolutely. I got one more thing to point out that from she when she read Psalms chapter 2. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me get it. All right. It says the sovereigns of the earth, or the kings of the earth, take their stand, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his Messiah. Right? And against his Messiah. Verse 7 and 8. I inscribe for a law. Yahweh has said to me, you are my son. Today I have brought you forth. Ask of me, and I make the nations your inheritance, and the ends of the earth your possession. Right? So, I want to say this. The lad, the youth, is also known as son, S-O-N, of Elohim, of Yahweh, which is also known as Messiah. This is in the Zohar. Again, I'll give you these references if you want them. In the Zohar, it attributes Psalms chapter 2, verses 1 to 12, especially verses 2, when it says the nations or the kings of the nations come against Yahweh and his anointed, right? Verses 7 and 8, when it says, thou art my son. today I have begotten thee. And I want to say real quick, begotten. That means someone born unique of its kind. It's like monogenes, unique of its kind, right? And so Rashi, the famous Rashi, Rabbi Shlomo, guess what he said? He said, our sages attributed this chapter, Psalm chapter 2, to speak of King Messiah. In this psalm, Messiah will rule over Mount Zion, right? Though Isaiah chapter 24, verse 23 says Yahweh will rule or reign in Mount Zion, all right? Now, I've heard people say, well, the word bar is Aramaic for son. Why is it not Ben there? Well, yeah, some of the proverbs at a time they were written, they were using Aramaic. But the word bar is also translated as son in Proverbs 31, right? Proverbs 31. So the lad or the youth is also known as the son, which is also known as the Messiah, which is also known as Sar Hathani, which is also known as Prince of the Faith, which is all the same representation, right? It's all the same representation. So I hope I've edified and pretty much brought out the position that even though Yeshua's name, Yoshin is not verbatimly written in the Old Testament or the Tanakh, just because the name is not verbatimly written there doesn't mean the being or existence was not there. It was a representation the whole time. It was a portion or a piece or a theophany the whole time. It's just that when we get to the Renewed Covenant or the New Testament, the agent, the word or this manifestation now comes in a fleshly human form so that us in our human nature can get a vision of can get a resemblance, right? So, with that being said, BA and Sheik, you got anything to reiterate? I don't know if there's any callers on the line, but once again, 319-527-6239. 319-527-6239. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can press the 1 to talk, right?
I would just like to say, I would just like to say this, and another source for those who are not familiar with the things we brought out this evening. There's a book. It's called The Two Powers in Heaven by Alan F. Siegel, which proves historically.
S-E-G-A-L, right?
Yes, Siegel. Yes, Siegel. S-E-G. Siegel or Siegel. Siegel. I don't know if I'm butchering that. S-E-G-A-L. Alan F. Siegel or Siegel. For those, if you're not familiar with this book proves that according to the Judaic thought, that they understood these things. And when Christ came along, and it was proven that he was the Son of the Most High, these ideas of a Mashiach or someone to come started to become heretical, or this two powers in heaven, or this messenger, or this Malach Yahweh, or this messenger of Yahweh, all of a sudden became heretical because the Judeans, they got to a point to where it's all about attacking Christ. We don't want to support this Christ. We don't want to support it. So, but this book proves that the early writers in Israel, or the early people in Israel throughout history, had always understood that their God, or their Elohim, or the one we know as the Father, he was never dealt with fully. There was always a face or a presence or a representation or a messenger representing him. They always understood that, and which we just proved with all the evidence this evening.
And mind you that the person who wrote the book, I believe, straight Jewish, does not believe in Yeshua as Messiah.
Exactly, he doesn't. He doesn't at all. But he proves that the writers in Israel, what they understood in ancient times. He even understands. He even understands it. So it's the book again. It's called The Two Powers in Heaven by Alan F. Segal. And another source we read from this evening is also called, or one of our sources, it's called The Return of the Koshered Pig, and it's by Rabbi Ishak Shapiro. I don't know if I pronounced his first name right, but this book is it is in support of Yeshua, proving that he is Messiah according to the sages and rabbis. Not saying that the sages and the rabbis are saying that he's a Messiah, but the idea of a Messiah most definitely was not foreign to the believers of which we would now know them as, we would now know the doctrine to be called Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. That's all I have to say.
Right. Sheik, you got anything to add?
I would just say that that this lesson was enlightening. And, I've heard some of the things going around, the community, and it's starting to come out more and more as we look at various sources. And I just hope that everybody keeps an open mind to it. We read in Genesis 22:11-15, but in verse 8, Abraham says something very important. When Isaac asked, we don't have a lamb to sacrifice, we're going to get one. What does Abraham said? God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. Okay? And so as we see the story play out, she definitely does. And it seems like those who wrote the New Testament was totally aware of what was being said and how it was being perceived at that particular time. And so I think when we were on here before in the Messianic divide, it was like, I said that those of us who believe in the Messiah and believe in the New Testament, we see something in the Old Testament. We're not just blindly believing. We see something in the Old Testament that is pointing to, and it's not just coming from Christianity. It is there. Right. It is there. You can't have a Messiah who dies and suffers and then leads the millennial kingdom at the same time. So it just doesn't make sense. So I mean, I'm not trying to attack anybody's faith or belief, but this is what we're seeing, and this is why we believe what we believe. So
exactly. I want to elaborate on something you brought out. I want to elaborate on something you brought out from Genesis 22:8. It's more likely visible in the Hebrew, which I'm going to read right now. You said, God told Abraham said God is going to provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering, right? Pretty much says, Wayomer Abraham, and he said Abraham. And said Abraham, Elohim Yireh Lo Haseh. The word Yireh is translated as provide. However, that's H7200. That's the word Ra'ah. It means to see, to look at, inspect, perceive, right? So it means to see, literally or figuratively, to appear, right? So pretty much, if you translate, Abraham said God will see himself a lamb for a burnt offering.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So, I wanted to bring this out because, like you said, a lot of confusion as to why us believers in Yeshua as Messiah see what we see in the Tanakh of the Old Testament, because we do look at the language, we do look at certain historical writings, as I pretty much brought out here, from these sources that predate the first century A.D. And this thought or this conception that
us as human beings, we can't come into the full total being of the Most High because the Most High is too divine. The Most High is too holy. So there has to be something standing in between, some representation, manifestation, some face or some presence that actually stands in that gap. And, it's pretty much human to us in our eyes, but actually they're divine. They have to be divine in order to go into the full, complete presence of the Most High. And that's why we believe Yeshua is definitely divine. A lot of people want to take away from the divinity, and this is why, a majority of us who do believe that the Most High had to send his Son through a portion of him, the Spirit, that has to give Yeshua the Messiah that divinity so that, Messiah can actually go into the full, complete presence in the Most High for us, Israel. So when I looked at this, especially the prayer in the Machzor, because I'm looking at it in the Hebrew. Some words I can understand, some words I can't. And when I saw this prayer, and even seeing that this prayer book still exists today, with especially the art scroll still having Yeshua's name in it, they're calling Yeshua verbatim Sar Hapanim. They're calling Yeshua verbatim the Prince of the Presence. They're saying Yeshua was that representation the whole time. And so for, like I said, for somebody to say, well, these thoughts, these aspects, these perceptions did not exist before the 1st century A.D., that's definitely not true according to the historical resources I brought out. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I would just also say, this whole evening, notice how we never said not one time that Messiah or Metatron or Christ is the Father.
Right.
Not one time did we say that. And guess what? We also proved throughout the text and throughout these historical sources that, again, that these individuals who wrote these things and the writers and our ancestors, they understood that they were only dealing with a piece of the force or the Father, which is known as Yahweh. So what a lot of people have to understand is that this thing about Christ being God, most definitely it has been explained this evening. We understand that is a portion or a representation of the Father because he is the Son of the Most High. That does not make him the Father. There's a difference.
Right.
Most definitely. And so hopefully for those, this is for those who are willing to see. Like Christ said himself, he came for those who want to see. This is not for the wise and the prudent, because the wise and the prudent, they talk too much and they know too much, so it's not for you. This is for those who want to see, who want to learn, who want to be edified. And you can most definitely reach out to us if you need, or if you have any more questions or comments or observations. And I'm done.
Yeah, I want to reiterate one thing. I believe I've shown, or we've shown, that the children of Israel never dealt directly with the Most High Yahweh. Never. We were dealing with this representation the whole time, directly. You notice that, yeah? You notice that, Sheik? This representation the whole time. This is why you still like, dude, if you see me, you see the Father. How is it that you read these scriptures? How is it you call yourself Torah teachers? The ones of his day always questioning him. Like, dude, Moshe wrote about me. I pretty much gave, 80, 90% of what I said about Malach Yahweh from the Old Testament, from the Tanakh, from the Torah especially, Genesis, Exodus, Deuteronomy, even the prophets, right?
We didn't even step into the renewed covenant. We didn't even go to the right side of the book. We stayed in the Tanakh.
I mentioned the New Testament, but didn't even read it.
Yeah, we mentioned it.
You were going to say something?
Can we deal also? I'm sorry. We have to. Although it may not be believed that Christ is the Father, right? It is by the same Spirit, right, that the presence operates, right?
Hallelujah, so, absolutely.
When we talk about the Trinity, they're saying that these are distinct persons, and distinct actually does mean separate. You know what I'm saying? persons,
but
they're all.
It's just the attributes. It's all one. They're just different attributes, right?
Most definitely.
That's what I would believe. That's what I would say, or believe. But when you talk to a Trinitarian, that is not the case. That is, they're like, no, they're three distinct, but together they're all God. And that's not true, because you're saying a distinct person, you're talking about separation, and there is no separation. You're going against Deuteronomy 4:6 in just that notion. And so it's one spirit, manifesting. Yeah, in different ways, and people will call it, well, that's oneness, or that's just, is it oneness that they call that, or no, it's not oneness. What do they call modalism? Modalism. They have these names for it, but the thing is that you do see him manifesting, and it is him. It is not. There's not a separate spirit. There's not a separate spirit. There's a form that is dealing with the people, Because he can't in his entirety. So
that's right.
I think that's just a fact, and we see it throughout Scripture.
Yep. When it comes to the Trinity, and most definitely the doctrine, and most definitely, I've always, even when I was a Baptist, growing up, raised one, it gets to a point to where you just believe something that's not being clearly explained properly, and even to this day, they say that all these individuals are God, they're still not being specific, because it just doesn't sound right. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not trying to make anyone look like they don't know what they're talking about. This is just, for me, when I hear it, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, and that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Now, am I aware there are three that bear record? Yes, the word says it. But to say that they're all the Father, as even though these three individuals, but they're also the Father, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to craft this lesson, BA and Sheik, because us as believers in Yeshua as Messiah, we have to be able to properly explain these things clearly and concisely, and make them palatable and comprehensible to the average person's ears. You know what I mean? We have to be able to give an answer for our faith. That's 1 Peter 3 says, right? We have to be able to give an answer, and we have to be able to have these things be validated and lined up and parallel the Tanakh. We have to be able to explain these things properly. And that's why I came up with this, especially, when I broke down in the beginning about the image or the picture. You have an expressed image, something visible in front of you. The image in the mirror is not the complete total being of you, but that mirror is a portion of your representation of you. But that image in the mirror can't exist without that person, that actual total complete being person on the opposite side. Go ahead, Sheik.
Yeah, I was going to say that, about the Spirit, and so particularly I do believe that the Spirit of the Most High definitely did rest upon Christ.
Right.
But the body itself gave limitation, which the Father does not have, right? So, what was I going to say? I would say, though, that the reason why we know that he is the Messiah, and the reason why we know that this is particularly the Most High that is working through this vessel, is because we see side by side Christ doing things that the Most High said he was going to do in the Old Testament. For example, making a lame walk, making a blind see. And then here he comes. He's making a lame walk, making a blind see in that hour. So, there's so many things that he was going to do. And then we see in the New Testament Christ actually doing it. So that's how we can confirm. Now, most of the time I think it's a narrative, but it's a spiritual narrative that tells us who he was. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
In a spiritual manner and how it was manifesting. So, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a reference what you said. Again, I don't know if we have any callers, but number's 319-527-6239. Again, 319-527-6239. You can press 1 to talk. I know there's a couple of congregations celebrating Pesach today. So actually there's a reference sheet, Isaiah 61. It says, the Spirit of the Master Yahweh is upon me, because Yahweh has anointed me to bring good news to the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh and the day of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all who mourn, to appoint unto those who mourn in Zion, to give them embellishment for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, and they shall be called trees of righteousness, a cleansing of Yahweh, to be adorned. To me, that lines up with prophecy in Isaiah 11, starting in verse 1. And a rod shall come forth from the stump of Yeshai or Jesse, and a sprout from his roots shall be fruitful. Verse 2. The Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom, understanding, the Spirit of counsel, and might, the Spirit of knowledge, and the fear of Yahweh, and shall make him breathe in the fear of Yahweh. Right? That Spirit was upon Yeshua, as you said, to manifest these things on earth as it is in heaven, so it is below. You know? On earth. So. All right.
There's a verse in Corinthians. I wish I remembered it, but it says by the same Spirit are we given our gifts, and it says the same Spirit is doing this, the same Spirit is doing that. I wish I could remember it right now, but I can't. But I'll try to post it on the comment board once I find it.
Oh, I got it. It's 1 Corinthians 12. Starting at verse 1. It says, and concerning spiritual gifts, brothers, I do not wish you to be ignorant. You know that you were nations led away to the dumb idols, even as you might be led. Therefore, I make known to you that no one speaking by the Spirit of Elohim says Yeshua is accursed, and no one is able to say that Yeshua is master except by the Holy Spirit. Verse 4. And there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different kinds of services, but the same master. And there are different kinds of workings, but it is the same Elohim who is working all in all. And to each one is given the manifestation of the Spirit. With prophecy, right? One to give the word of wisdom through the Spirit, unto another the knowledge according to the same Spirit, and to another belief by the same Spirit, and to another gifts of healing by the same Spirit, and to other operations of powers, another to prophesy, another to discern spirits, and to another kinds of tongues, languages, and to another interpretation of tongues. But one and the same Spirit works all these, distributing to each one individually as he intends. Right?
Hallelujah. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right.
Well, I want to apologize for the beginning. I'm sorry, I was struggling. I handed off our technology without instruction, and it caused confusion. So, I apologize about that. I will have it together next time.
It's all good. To Most High be the glory. I mean, pretty much this lesson was brought out. Like I said, I hope it was providing some insight. I hope it provided encouragement, upliftment. I hope it provided edification, and I hope that the people listening now, the people who will listen later, take this back to the Most High in prayer, ask for the Ruach, ask for the Spirit to breathe to a sound conclusion. And I hope, this definitely assists Yeshua believers that you are here, and you can stand confident in your faith. You can stand firm in your faith. If you need anything else from Sister Shan-T, just hit me up. Like I said, duckanddodge1@gmail.com, DUCCNDODGE1@gmail.com. There's also a video series that BA and I did a couple to a few years back. We actually went over the source called The Return of the Kosher Pig by Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira. They're very thorough. They're long videos, however, they're very thorough. With these things, you have to be well equipped and ready to give an account of why you believe what you believe and be able to precisely explain, be able to break it down so that even like a child can understand, right? With that being said, I have nothing else to bring out. Sheik, BA, y'all can have the last words. I want to thank y'all for coming in to the second quarter. To Most High be the glory, all praise, all honor, all glory. And I praise the Most High and thank the Most High for yourselves, for Sal, for this platform, to have the word of the Most High go out in the way it's going out. So, Sheik, BA, and then Brother Sal.
I want to say shalom to everybody. All praises to the Most High for this lesson. And even the conversation about this lesson was even edifying for me. And I hope it was edifying for all of you out there. You can reach me on Facebook as Sheikah Akiba or Hebrew Israelite Information Exchange. So have a good night and Layla go.
Most def. And before I close out, Sal, I know earlier you said you wanted to make some announcements of the upcoming debates starting tomorrow. So you go ahead this time if you would like, my brother.
Oh, yeah, as promised. Let me notify the people. Tomorrow we have a debate going down this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Is the Oral Torah the Mishnah, Talmud, or is it Yeshua? I repeat, is the Oral Torah the Mishnah, Talmud, or is it Yeshua? Debating the topic will be Gideon versus Alone. Make sure you tune into Debate Talk Radio. And on Friday, we have another debate lined up. Does the Melchizedek priesthood supersedes the Levitical priesthood? We're going to have Kalaya versus Brother Josh. So make sure you keep it locked right here on Debate Talk for you. 2 doubleheader debates, Thursday and Friday. Keep it locked right here. That'd be it. Thanks.
You're welcome, my brother. Much love to you. You heard the titles of those debates. Brothers and sisters, tap into them. Hopefully you'll be edified and learn something from those debates. And like I said, much love to the sisters this evening, Sister Sheik and Sister Shan-T. Sean, love you dearly. Sheik, appreciate you for reading. And until next time, much love to all. All praises to the Most High. In the name of His only anointed messenger known as Yeshua the Christ. And shalom.
Hallelujah.
Good night.